James can be a loose cannon, but in terms of raw talent, there is no better driver in the world.
Why don't they make it safer?
Risk of death turns people on.
Who's that?
It's Niki Lauda.
He's just been signed by Ferrari.
I'm both quicker than you and better at setting up the car.
James Hunt is a proven winner at the highest level.
Is there a question, or are you just trying to piss me off?
This is an incredible battle between these two drivers.
I want to start out by talking about, obviously this movie is very much about a professional rivalry, and I feel like whether you know it or not, or whether you admit it, you're kind of in one yourself, the rivalry between Marvel and DC. And I was wondering if that's something that, like, do you hear a lot about, or is that something that you're aware of, or do you care about that sort of rivalry?
No, we're just winning, aren't we? There's no real rivalry.
You could definitely make that argument, man. You can definitely make that argument.
No, we don't. I mean, I don't know. It's only when, people mention it that you even think about it. But.
Is there any sort of like, okay, let's like flash back to last summer. You had, Dark Knight Rises coming out against Avengers. Avengers wins out. Like,
did we? Good.
Yeah. Is there like a sense of like, good, like I wanted to?
Oh, look, I mean, you can't not be excited about your film being a part of something that does that well, but. It all kind of benefits each other, If one film opens big, then most likely people want to come back to the movies and see something else, and so it all feeds into each other.
For sure. Unfortunately, James Hunt, the man who you portray, passed away 20 years ago this year, actually. So you didn't have him to sort of help you fill out this character. If you could have asked him just one question, what would have been like the first question you would have asked him just to make sure you got it right?
I don't know. I don't know if there was a particular single question. I would have, obviously just liked to hang out with him and actually not even talk about the movie or anything. Just kind of, and I would have loved to have sat with him, or been a fly on the wall and been there, not involved in kind of having to portray him, because it was the pressure that comes with portraying someone like that, and he was an icon, and then this as large a personality as he was intimidating. And Daniel even said at times having Niki Lauda there to ask questions with was a huge benefit, but at times made it a little scarier.
For sure.
He'd turn up on set and you'd be like, oh, is he watching me?
Right.
Does he think what I'm doing is wrong? And but I had a whole lot of archive footage I looked at, and the guy just, obviously is a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and embodied that free spirit and take it or leave it, this is who I am attitude. And everything he did was 100% and committed, and there were no secrets. It was just, this is it.
Right.
And I kind of love that. I think, I would have loved to have been around and met the guy and experienced some of that.
For sure. There's a great question asked in the movie, which is, why do women love racers? And the answer is that close proximity to death. If I were going to ask you, why do women love Chris Hemsworth? what would you think the answer might be?
I don't know. There's no unwanky version of answering that, is there? there's no way.
Or we could answer the wanky version. That's cool too.
I think you'll have to. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. I don't know. Maybe I've been in some cool films and some stories and characters that people enjoy and respond to.
That's not wanky at all.
No, that was my diplomatic comment.
See, I like that. I like it. I was reading like a biography about these guys, and one of the things it said is that while there was a rivalry, it was in a way very much blown out of proportion by the media. So I was going to run through just some stories, some headlines that I've read about Chris Hemsworth, and you can tell me whether it's true or blown out of proportion. I got three quick ones.
That's the reason I don't read the internet and stay off it, but here we go.
Chris Hemsworth is good looking. True or blown out of proportion?
Blown out of proportion.
Blown out of proportion. Chris Hemsworth thinks that Jake Hamilton should have actually played Thor.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely true. Not blown out of proportion.
So you blown right out of that jacket.
Told you guys. Chris Hemsworth is actually incredibly short, but is shot to look tall.
Yeah. I'll stand in the box.
See?
True.
I knew it. Now I'm going to bring it over for a hug, and we're going to see how short I actually am. Good to see you, man. When you come to Houston, I'm going to fold out couch, man. It's got your name on it. Good to see you, man. Dude, always an honor talking with you, man. Congratulations.
I heard about this thing with Niki.
Everyone has.
James, do you think you can cope with the pressure? To be a champion, you have to really believe it. You're just a party guy.
They're killing us out there. You're too far back.
I'm quicker than all of you.
And James Hunt is out.
It's over, superstar.
So one of the reasons I very much respect someone like Niki Lauda is that from top to bottom, front to back, he knows every facet of a car, which I just find fascinating. If you want to get this role right, do you have to have that same exact knowledge?
Well, as he said, I don't have his ass, you know. As he says, you know, he feels everything with his ass. You know? And I was testing these cars. I did my Formula 3 courses to get, you know, a bit of experience driving these cars. And I loved it. It's pure adrenaline, you know. I enjoyed it every second, and I totally got the addiction. And understood why guys want to become a race driver. But his skills and his knowledge about the technological aspects of it is just insane.
It was nuts, man.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And I love that not only did Nicky want to be the best, he wanted to be specifically better than James Hunt, which I thought was awesome. Whenever you're acting in a scene and you're acting opposite someone else, whether it be Chris Hemsworth or Benedict Cumberbatch, how much, whether you want to admit it or not, how much do you want to be better than that person you're acting against?
It's not wise to be too competitive as an actor, you know, because the better your partner is, the better you are. So it's silly to you know, try to be better or you know, to be too competitive, you know. And I was very lucky to work with two guys who are just the most respectful and supportive actors, you know. So with Chris, we didn't need to create that fake rivalry, you know.
Right.
We just would enjoy working with each other. In fact, we invented our very own rom-com relationship between Hunt and Lauda and between the takes. So we laughed.
When do we get to see that version of the movie?
Well, it would be an interesting
Right?
movie too. Yeah. We're working on the script.
Okay,
right
so
now.
we'll get Ron to come back in. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. You know, one of my greatest prides of all time is that actually my quote from my review of Inglourious Basterds is on the DVD because it is, I think, it's one of the all-time great movies, and you are amazing in it. As a lot of people wouldn't necessarily put Tarantino and Ron Howard into like a comparison, but are there any sort of similarities between the two that might surprise people?
Probably, they share the same enthusiasm, and their energy is contagious. It's incredible how they, you know, motivate the crew and the actors, and both of them act or acted in their lives. So the way they communicate with an actor is great, you know, because they know exactly what you need. Ron is so caring, and he just gives you the right amount of attention, support, and confidence. But then there are differences, you know. I mean, Ron is a director who always jumps from one genre to the other, and it's very, very diverse. And Quentin is that genius who found and invented a film language of his own, you know. And within this universe, he's moving and shifting, you know. But they're very different in that sense.
For sure. There's a really small moment in the movie that I loved, and it's after Nicky comes back from the accident. He's holding a press conference. He's about to race again, and a reporter asks him an awful question, which is just like, do you think that your wife is going to leave you now that you look like this? In your career, being in this business, what is the most offensive, the worst, the most awful question a reporter has asked you?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't know. Well, any private question, you know, is terrible. You know, I remember moments, you know, when I split up with my ex-girlfriend, and you know, a reporter asked me if I wanted to talk about it with him, so that he would put my version in the magazine and not hers. You know, that was so tasteless and stupid. You know, and. But other than that, I've been quite lucky so far, you know.
Knock on wood, man.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Well, I hope to talk with you many times, and I promise, no personal stuff.
Yeah.
We'll keep it professional, my friend. It's an honor to meet you, man. I look
pleasure.
forward to talking with you many, many times. And you're awesome in the Fifth Estate as well, so you should be really proud of that, man. So congratulations on everything.
Thank you. All the
Bye,
best.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
More powerful than even the fear of death itself is the will to win.
Which is why I'm here begging. You really think you can beat him? Trust me.
Today with the rain, it's the most dangerous trick in the world.
That all depends on how good you are in the rain. Let's race.
Talk to me, James.
Don't go to men who are willing to kill themselves driving in circles looking for normality.
So there's a great moment in the movie where the question is asked, why do women love racers? And the answer being like their proximity to death, so that danger. To what degree is a guy more attractive if there is a sense of danger in his life?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it depends. I think people who have great talent are attractive. So I think that's what, my character found so attractive about James Hunt is like he's really very good at driving.
Right.
If he was a bad driver, like the worst Formula One driver, putting his life on the line, it might be like, God, that's just stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a really dumb idea.
Right.
But I think people do have respect for people like firemen, who put their lives on the line and are continuing to flirt with death every day. And there's something exciting about it because the rest of us spend our whole lives kind of denying that exists.
To what degree could I add some danger into my life, into my career? Because, it's not necessarily the most dangerous thing.
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, you could you could untie your shoes.
And you tell me from this moment to right now if I become more attractive.
Oh, you're living on the edge. I don't know. You could trip at any moment.
Any moment.
You don't care. You're just living life.
That's how I do things.
Yeah.
That's how I do things. Try to control yourself. Please.
I'm trying.
Please, you're a taken woman. Stay on that side of the room. Let's
holding on for
let's be
dear
professionals
life.
for God's sakes, please. I love that there are a lot of great actors out there, but there are very few actors that have the ability to be a great leading man, and I think Chris is definitely one of them.
I agree.
In your opinion, what separates an actor from a leading man?
An actor from a leading man. I mean, a leading man is a very difficult thing to be because you have to be able to kind of win the hearts and minds very quickly. There's an element of transformative charm. And I think that it's not for the faint of heart. I think Chris really, he's devoted to his work. He works very hard. When he's Thor, he's not just Thor. He puts a lot of charm into Thor. He puts himself into it. He puts himself into his kind of rugged ease, his confidence into James Hunt.
Right.
It's almost like you have to be what makes you so winning, but also transform. It's tricky. I'd rather be an actor than a leading person.
Really?
Well, yeah, because then people can believe you as different things. I mean,
True. Interesting. I see that.
I don't know. As soon as people expect you to be like a superhero at every moment, I think you're confined.
Uphill battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I think that Ron Howard's best films are his real life, true story films. This definitely being one of them.
Like Splash.
Like
documentary Splash.
Yes, the true story of Tom Hanks' character. But what I love is instead of trying to encompass someone's entire life, he kind of focuses on a specific moment in their life. If he were one day going to make the Olivia Wilde life story, what is the moment that you think would make the most interesting movie?
It'd be so thrilling. It'd be called Junket. And it would be in this room.
Okay.
And I wouldn't move.
Okay.
And you'd hear me say the same thing approximately 175,000 times.
But not in this interview?
No.
Because my goal is to make sure you ask your asked questions.
This is totally different, I promise.
My shoes are untied, for God's sakes. And this could be the danger scene.
Yeah.
We get like a Hans Zimmer score and put over it. So
exactly.
That's it. I could talk to you all day. When you come through Houston, I have a very comfortable fold-out couch.
Oh, thank you.
So it's more than open to you.
That's so
you guys
kind.
can just come hang out with us.
That's
We'd
so
love to have you.
sweet.
Bye, guys. See you later.
See ya. Do not trip.
I will. Oh yeah, I'm actually
tie that shoelace.
Nicky Lauda, trapped in a searing inferno of 800 plus degrees.
I feel responsible for what happened.
Watching you win those races, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
The showdown between you and Nicky is all anyone wants to see.
There's a great question in the movie. It's asked, what kind of man would do a job like this? And I thought that was a great question. If I were going to ask you that question about directors, what kind of man would do a job like this? How would you answer that?
Control freaks. I don't know. I think you have to have a curiosity about what a story can mean to people, and whether it's a comic book movie that you love or a comedy that will entertain people, but every story has to say something. And I think for a movie to be really good, the filmmaker has to reflect that and want to be the individual that's making those points, whether they're using comedy, drama, fantasy, or suspense.
For sure. I feel that moviegoers love nailing directors down to a particular genre. We love being able to say, oh, Scorsese does mob films, or Lucas does sci-fi films, or Hitchcock does horror. Yeah. And if a moviegoer were going to say, Ron Howard, he does great real-life stories, would that make you mad if people said that's what he's known for?
I mean, that's only about a quarter of my of my filmography.
Right.
But I love history, and I have made such a variety of movies that I think that you know, if you like comedies, you might look at a few of them and say, well, I think that's what Ron does best.
Right.
If you favor, you know, kids' fantasies, you might look at The Grinch and Willow and say, oh, I like those movies.
Right.
Ron does those well. But I too really love taking these surprising true stories and shining a light on them and focusing the drama
Right.
and learning what I can learn and sharing it with the audience.
For sure. And I do love that whenever you do great historical films, instead of trying to encompass someone's entire life, you kind of usually focus on an important moment. I was wondering if someone were one day going to make the life story of Ron Howard, what do you think is the moment that would make maybe the most interesting story?
Fortunately, I don't think my life has enough turmoil to ever warrant
that
being
could be
made
a good
into a
thing.
movie.
That
So
could be-
I'm kind of relieved by that. You know, I wanted to mention something to you in particular. I had a moment where it was time to show the movie to the Formula One elite.
Mm-hmm.
So in Nürburgring, Germany, I did that. I had a small screening. It was, you know, sort of people from the past who knew James Hunt, who know Niki Lauda, who were there at the time, including Niki Lauda himself, and then also the current superstars, engineers, team owners, and so forth. Well, it was nerve-wracking. And when it was over, it went great. They thought it was authentic. They thought it was emotional. The younger drivers couldn't believe that the world was like that then. It was just everything I could have dreamed of. Niki Lauda was very proud of it. And I called up my wife, Cheryl, who couldn't be there. And she said, how'd it go? And I said, I can only describe it one way. You remember in Houston when we had that screening of Apollo 13 for all the NASA people, the mission controllers and the astronauts? And remember what that reaction felt like? I said, I never thought I would have that experience twice in one lifetime, and I've just had it again. And so that Houston screening is something I'll never forget. And then I'm also pleased that the Formula One world feels we got it right.
Absolutely. We are so proud of you in Houston, Mr. Howard. Like, seriously, like, we love you. If you ever come through, let us know. I have a comfortable fold-out couch.
Well,
it's
thank you.
open to you. It is an honor to sit across from you, sir.
Really
Thank you so much for your
appreciate that.
time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
I